Hi, I'm Stephen Garvey, leader of the National Advancement Party of Canada. I'm going to be the host tonight for 1 hour, and this is going to be on the NAPC and any issues regarding what's going on in Canada and also looking at the future of Canada. And tonight with me I have Kulbir Singh Chawla. He's a member of the National Advancement Party of Canada, and he was a candidate in the Calgary-Minipur by-election, and he's planning to run in 2019. Welcome, Kulbir, to this 1 hour program tonight.
Thank you very much, Stephen.
Okay, I just want to make it clear to the viewers, we want to hear your feedback. It's really important to us. We want to know what you're thinking and what you're thinking about what's going on in Canada and the future of Canada. So you can do that by phoning 817-766-5430. You can phone 817-766-5430. So you can phone that on Skype or using your regular phone. And the producer, Muddy, will add you into our conversation. So I want to turn to you, Kulbir. And
thank you, Steve.
Can you share a bit of the background about you and because you're a recent Canadian citizen.
That's right, yeah.
And you immigrated from India, the Punjab?
Yeah.
Okay, can you talk about that and what you went through and what led you to the party? What led you to joining and being an active member of the National Advancement Party of Canada?
Right, Stephen, yes. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone here in, let's say, Mountain Standard Time or across Canada, US, all of these time zones that we have here in North America. And whatever time, the other times that you might be in the rest of the world, wish you a great day ahead. My name is Kulbir Singh Chawla, and I've been associated with National Advancement Party of Canada since about 3 years now, informally speaking, and formally, it's been a while as well. And I am connected to Stephen Garvey, who's the national leader of the National Advancement Party of Canada, NAPC, again, the time since I was connected with the party as well. I'm from India. I immigrated to Canada in 1999, so it's been 18 years. And I've been a PR, mostly owing to the fact that I was skilled category person, not having extended families here, and going back to India too often. Me and my wife used to frequent India quite a lot. So recently we thought of getting a Canadian citizenship, which is an awesome honor, and it's been a dream. You know how I thought about Canada and US? As a kid, I'd like to share that as well. Stephen, can I have a minute on that?
Of course.
It's something which is so touching to my heart, and you might find it hilarious. You might find it very amusing and stuff like that. Okay, so when I was a kid, you know, all these Archie comics that are still in vogue and so popular. Archie's, I guess, had their 75th anniversary lately, last year or so. And I was so fascinated by these comics. And Canada, US, and all these countries, it looked like all like one as a kid. It just looked like fairyland. Another amusement would be Disneyland, Mickey Mouse, and is that funny, Stephen?
Yeah.
And as a kid, I was so fascinated by it to come to Canada and US, or US, so to speak. Then we had the Richie Rich comics, Dennis the Menace, and all that 1980s decade comics and all those kind of things. It's so amused and fascinating. Tintin, I guess it's an American comic. I'm not too sure about the author, but it used to give a glimpse of what US or Canada taking it together as North America would be. And as a kid, I would perceive it. So that dream of coming here to North America was very much, part of my, and still is, it's a dream fulfilled. So I came to Canada in 1999. And recently I got my citizenship, as I had mentioned before. We got the opportunity of having it. And right after that, it was in fact when we sent out Stephen, it's all with your patronage and help and support. I'd like to share it with all my viewers and listeners here. And and I got my citizenship on the 10th of March. On the 13th was the nomination closing date for elections, which were on the 3rd of April across Canada, the by-elections. And so between 10th and 13th, it was a big rush. And remember, Stephen, how we almost worked around the clock, going around Tim Hortons and all the places in the riding, collecting 100 signatures, plus making sure we have 100 correct ones. And Elections Canada was really supportive too on the weekend. They had their days working on the weekend towards all these last weeks. So they were super helpful. And we were able to get those signatures, the consent of the people in the riding. And that was the time where I think we started sort of relating to the people, in a sort of preliminary way of what are the issues of the people and, things around that. And so 13th, I got my nomination, which was the last date on that day. Thank you, Stephen, once again for all of that. And then we had those 3 weeks campaigning. Awesome period, spending nights till 2 o'clock and the whole day talking to people, campaigning for the party, conveying its agenda to everyone, things like that. So wonderful. I'm an engineer by background and an MBA in specialization in HR. Back then we used to call it Masters in Personnel Management and Industrial Relations. Now my alma mater renames it as MBA HR. So it's kind of similar to what MBA HR program is right now. So we related with MBA HR. Formerly we used to call it MPMIR. And engineering and the MBA made me think of a man-machine combination in technical matters, in the industry, and so on. And then I have my IT qualifications like Microsoft Certified Systems Engineer, the MCSE, back there in the 2003 and 4. We used to have that NT4 version. The IT geeks know what I'm talking. And then a whole bunch of other ones, PC Repair Diploma and lots of languages. And then I run my IT company, which is, we are a magazine which publishes other IT companies doing their work. And we tend to promote them as well. So have that win-win model in mind to promote IT industry here in Calgary in the way we can. Yeah, and connecting with NAPC was really, really a very, it's really fascinating and amazing how I got connected with the party. And ever since, it's been always, Stephen has been helping us quite a lot, people at the grassroots. And we got to pay back, I guess, in whatever way we can. Yeah, thank you, Stephen.
Okay, excellent. Thanks for sharing that. And Kulbir, I want to talk about immigration now.
Yeah.
The platform of the party is putting Canadians first, all Canadians first. We want people to come here and integrate into our society in terms of economy, social, and cultural norms. And but if people can't integrate, we're going to want them to leave the country. So can you talk about the immigration and from your perspective, because you're a recent immigrant and you have an idea of the people coming in and tell us why you support that policy.
So coming to Canada is a privilege and an honor, as I also talked in the introduction. It was a dream for me personally, and as it unfolded, it really was so nice to be here. I'm here for the last 18 years now. Sorry, is that okay with the mic?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm here for the last almost 2 decades. And so much experience traveling across the nation, be it United States quite a bit, drove through, I think, half of US and all that. So fascinating. I came on a federal point system as an engineer, got those points. We used to have 70 points. Now I guess there might be 67 points. Keep changing. And the programs keep evolving. Right now there's a thing called PNP program, which is Provincial Nominee Program. And then the federal program, which is basically another version of that same program. One is based on states, the provinces here, which pretty much looks after the province's needs for those professions, and those people who immigrate here on that basis are rated according to the demand of the people or the jobs or the industry here in that province. And the federal program is more of stuff like overall Canadian industry requirements and so on. So those kind of immigrations when happen enrich the country a lot. And the best talent from all over the world, tends to seek for those privileged classes of immigration. And they come here And when they come here, generally speaking, they are very, very productive and contribute to the economy and they feel good themselves and things of that nature. Now, having said that, there are other doors to immigration which are open and very much legal, so to speak, and people make use of those avenues as well. There's family class, and then there are study permits, and then there are work permits, which many of them lead to PR, which is permanent residence status, and then eventually leading to citizenship and all those kind of things. Now, all these ways are very legitimate ways of coming here, and most people would integrate. Now, Stephen, given the topic that you want to discuss here in reference, let's build a base of immigration to Canada in general. Mm-hmm. But now we talk about things like refugees coming in here, especially so when fake refugees come in here, and that too in vast numbers and mass numbers and stuff like that. And Stephen, I would say this is not a Canadian issue exclusively speaking. This is more related to world politics. Whatever is going on in the whole world today, there's a lot of unrest and in many ways. And the good things, of course, but there are some areas which are really, really sort of concerning, not only to some section of the people or nations or communities. It's more of humanity issue. As I personally feel, it's more of killings going on in some places and wars going on in other places and so on. So in reference to Canada, I think Canada is an awesome country with so much peaceful kind of whole background and, veterans sacrificing for the freedom of the country and so on. Now, this country really needs to be that way. And, working towards that, we need to work on different things and make sure that things are not going the wrong way. And today we find lots of contemporary events that are happening. They need to be really closely studied and work on Canada's best interests and stuff like that. So I think a lot of filtering needs to happen before immigration happens. And that's for the government, the present government as well, to decide on really what's best for Canada's interest. And when we say Canada doesn't mean it's an open door policy, like beyond a certain limit. It has to be for the best interest of Canada and for Canadians, for Canadian industry, for Canadian people. Back home, here in the backyard, there's so many issues that are pending or people are suffering. And when we look outside more than we look in our backyard, things go wrong.
Yes, but Kulbir, because right now with the current government and even past government, it's kind of open borders. They're letting in thousands and thousands of immigrants, which are replacing our domestic population. And, right. And the white population in Canada they're not reproducing enough and they're getting displaced.
Okay.
So
right.
part of our policy is to encourage, greater fertility rates in Canada.
That's right. Yeah.
Because immigration is organized replacement of the national population. And,
right.
In our view, that should be a last resort. So,
right.
And we need to stand up for our traditional people, right?
Correct.
Kulbir? And
yes.
We don't want radicals in this country. We don't want people coming to the country doing honor killings or pushing Sharia.
Right.
And, being involved in terrorism.
Exactly.
And this is our right as a country to make sure these people don't enter, and if they do enter, to remove them.
Very much.
So that's what our policy is about, Canada first. And right now, I'm not sure if you're familiar with what's going on the Canada-U.S. border, but it's basically wide open, and thousands are crossing into Canada. And this current government is welcoming them. They're coming in, getting on our welfare system, and they're getting all kinds of benefits that our seniors and homeless don't even get. We're heading into the summer months, and it's supposed to explode, Kulbir.
Yeah.
So that's very troubling, isn't it?
Yes. Definitely.
And then we have all these sanctuary cities where they can harbor illegal migrants.
Yeah. Yeah.
A good percentage of them have been involved in crime.
Yeah.
This is not the Canada we want, is it?
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. So you see where it's going. It's getting all these people in here. They're all different. Some of them have different values and beliefs, and it's just creating division in our society. There's no cohesion. There's no unity.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you see us getting the unity back, Kulbir, when there's these globalist forces trying to divide us?
Yeah, right. Yes, Stephen, yeah. Very much. It's a very... Yeah, okay.
How do we fight this?
Right, yes. This is a very sensitive matter, and this is a matter which is, yesterday or the day before, I guess, there was lots of likes, even in our group of National Advancement Party of Canada, and also on my page, my personal Facebook account. I posted my views on liberal versus conservative. And when I'm talking liberal, conservative, I'm not talking parties, I'm talking concepts. And most of the political parties would be in that spectrum, talking left and talking right, very generally speaking. And I sincerely, it's an honest opinion, Stephen, it's a very genuine thing. Even in our own, let's say, I'll talk with my Sikh community example, and it could be extrapolated to any community, even any group. It's not religions alone, it's even organizations. It could be factory, it could be a company, it could be any group of companies. Everyone has their own culture. And everyone has a natural right to honor, promote, and enjoy that culture, right? Now, let's pretend a neighbor. Okay, let me I started with a Sikh community example. Now, we in our Sikh community, I'm a Sikh, right? Just for the knowledge of everyone, I'm a Sikh, with the homeland in Punjab, India, and our history dating back, starting the Sikh religion was founded by Guru Nanak Dev Ji, who was our first guru, and he was born in 1469 AD, which is about 550 plus years or something ago. And it's a very recent religion. Presently we have 23 million people around the world, to my best knowledge. And so we have our principles, we have a very distinct dress culture. We keep our hair unshorn, all of it, body hair, facial hair, and we have a beard, and then some people dye it, but they don't cut it though. Some people keep it flowing, and many people even in the US, especially here in Canada, it's different. In the US, many places, people, many people would think we are Muslim people, right? And but we are a very distinct religion, which is Sikhism, completely different from any other religion. We honor everybody else. Now, we as a community would have our rights to make sure that we don't get overboard in a few things. I'm not talking fanatic fake stuff or anything like that. Everyone has their own unique things to look after, right? And so on. So it's a culture, it's a tradition. We can call it religion if we want to, but it essentially comes to your culture, your whole paradigm of things in a few ways. And in lots of ways, it's a common world. We all live together, and that's the general part of humanity as well. Now, extending that example and before I extend it to, let's say, Christianity or Canadian society or anything, let me go through what I briefly mentioned, groups and organizations, so that when we come to our context, we get clearer that every group has a right to maintain their own identity, their own values, traditions, whatever it is. Now, let's take an example of a group of companies. Let's say it has branches. Okay, Stephen, let's talk Canada.
Okay.
A company has an office in Calgary, here in our city here. It has an office in Vancouver. It has an office in Ottawa. Let's pretend it has an office in Regina. All these 4 different branches of the same company. Now, we have the founding principles. We have some people call it guiding principles or preamble or whatever. That's the theme of the company. The people who started the company, they usually make it so that future generations of future people in the company make sure they follow that culture. So that is the whole premise of the company in the coming times from its inception onwards. So if a neighbor or another, let's say a competition of that company or anyone, even a neighbor, or let's say somebody who's just a foolish guy, he starts commenting on that company's culture. I mean, it's so foolish. A company has a right to protect its organizational culture, behavior, its whole things around it. Now, extending the same example to, let's say, Canada now, for example. And we can talk of Christianity here, or we can talk about Caucasian demographic of people. I personally have a lot of things to relate on that. Now, everyone has their own rights. That's a very basic word, rights, and they're needful rights. They're legitimate rights. It's a natural right. It's very natural, not even rights. When we talk of rights, it seems like something political. But if we speak naturally, everyone at every church would have its rights to, make sure that their generation of, let's say kids now, come to the church. They learn about Jesus Christ. They learn about, Holy Spirit, for example, as much as I know about Christianity. I have lots of friends though, and I keep learning. And, they have their rights to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's a little, as we advance in our conversation, I touch there's a little touch point in which we can also touch about Christianity, for example. So everyone has their rights. So when people comment that they are conservative, oh, they're white supremacists, oh, they're racist, oh, I just laugh at them. Oh, guys, give me a break. Stephen, this is so, it's the height of uneducation. When people comment on other people's rights to be conservative, and I'm talking conservative in a general way again, let me make it clear. So everyone has their respective rights. Why not? It doesn't mean, there are a lot of things to it. And needless to say, we are talking in a certain way. In the reference of our talk, I don't at all think that it's the word racist and all these things, which the ethnic groups, even I'm sorry to say that, you pointed out, even my own community would say that in some ways, in some points, and I just negate it. I just discard all that little talk going on. And so many people think like that about Westerners. They are the racists and stuff like that. They were the ones who accommodated all these cultures, all these nationalities, all these different communities. So how can they be racist? It's a completely baseless stereotype kind of a talk.
It's also being engineered and pushed by some of the establishment parties, Kulbir.
Right, yeah.
And also because they're kind of using some immigrants and vice versa, and it's linked into political correctness.
Right, yeah.
And almost like a left-wing fascism in this country, where anyone who goes against what they say, they automatically label a radical, fascist, racist, bigot, and on. So that's what we're dealing with as a party. It's already been put on us, right? But we're not going to stop, and we're not going to lower ourselves to that base divisive discourse. And it's okay to be white. It's okay to be proud to be white.
No, why not? Yes.
Why not?
Yeah.
And we need to stand up for our culture, which is based in Christianity, and it's heavily embedded in freedom.
Right, yes.
And civil rights. We weren't the first people on this continent.
Yeah.
But we were here before a lot of other people.
Yes. That's right.
So how do you think we can fight this very divisive, hateful rhetoric that's in our society, Kulbir? And you've already experienced it because you met some Sikh people, and they're saying that myself, I don't support Sikhs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we fight that hateful divisiveness, which is all just words and trying to divide everyone in our country?
Yeah, that's right.
How do you think we can fight that?
Yes, I'll come to that as well.
Okay.
Let's keep that towards the end as we
all right.
Okay,
fair enough.
What's happening, and how ethnic communities, with due respects intended to one and all, how certain people, resort to stereotype rhetoric and those, without even thinking what they're saying, it's being just there around in the communities, they talk like that, and how. Okay, I personally feel that, Stephen, would it be okay to call it Caucasian demographic of people, or even Canadian? Is that okay to say?
Of course.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Right, okay. To my understanding, I'm evolving in terminology, but, allow me to say that's the word Caucasian demographic. For example, these are the communities who have built all the infrastructure, whether it's the financial system or the technical, or it is, whether it's technical world or call it infrastructure financial, anything, basically in the last 500 years or so, whatever time it has been. Now, these are the communities which have taken the lead to develop all the systems in the world, and they've provided it to different parts of the world as well. Now, when we, included myself included, when we communities come here to, let's say, Canada or US or even England or other countries, similar countries, we are actually piggybacking on the systems which are actually made by Caucasians, or call it respective Canadian or American people or whoever, British people and so on. Now, they're the ones who build the system, and we take the advantage of piggybacking on them. Allow me to say the word piggyback, because we never invented them. We never, we were not the first ones to make any of those systems, predominantly speaking. We only piggybacked on the whole system. And yes, we may have made a few innovations here and there. We are all part of humanity, and when one gets into being in a class of people, you always, grow and you give your ideas. That's a different story. But who were the ones who made all this system? It was the Caucasians. So that rhetoric of the ethnic people calling, once again back to that racist or supremacist or whatever else with it, that is so meaningless. So meaningless. And they are the ones who accommodated all the cultures. I haven't seen immigration open in other countries, even my own country. It's open technically speaking, but it isn't that attractive there that people are immigrating there. I don't even try to. I was on a trip to India. I didn't even find one white person there in the whole of couple of states in India where I went in my last trip, which was just about a few months ago. And then the same people come here and say, oh, no, they're racist, I said, okay, give me a break here. I just don't, I'm not getting into discussions with them, but that's their way of thinking, because they get tuned to that rhetoric within their own community without thinking that this is not the reality. This is not the reality at all. We are the ones who immigrated here, and how are we calling them racist and stuff like that? I'm not saying that they do in a very major way, but if a talk comes around, it might happen, because that thing has not been corrected within them. Now, solutions, Stephen, I think it's discussions of these kinds, this whole outreach and this whole collaboration of, sharing of ideas that are eventually going to bring a change. And that's the touch point where change can happen and will happen. It all starts with a discussion. So that's a major thing. You getting into radio show, bringing me here, so on and so. Thank you. Thanks a lot for all of this. And okay, I think by and by, changes come when we talk about it. Subtle changes come through subtle solutions. And so these kind of changes are to come not by any kind of essentially laws or something. It's not even in the domain of laws, such discussions, generally speaking. But it's all about talking it out.
Yeah, and but how do you deal with people who don't listen and that they just fire back that you're a racist, you're a fascist, you're Islamophobe, you're
oh my God. Yeah.
So that's what we're dealing.
Meaningless. Yeah.
Kulbir. So it's a very toxic, divisive society we live in.
Yeah.
And it's being encouraged by the government. So this is very troubling. Yeah, and then there's different groups pushing it. So, but we need to fight back. And I think the important message is that we never lower ourselves to that level. We always stay true to who we are.
Right.
And we stick to the facts and we stick to our solutions. That's and when there's constructive content, we listen to the people and then we consider what they're saying.
That's right. That's so
good. But the last thing we want to do is lower ourselves. And one thing I've been trying to do, Kulbir, because there's a far right groups in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been trying to listen to them and understand them, and then try to redirect their energy in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because we don't want to get into hating identified groups or any form of racism. That's something we condemn, and we don't want anything to be part of. So if we can listen to these groups and then try and encourage them to have action that's in a positive way for our society, right?
Right. Yeah.
So that's one way we can make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think if we stand up to these fascist left groups,
Mm-hmm.
if we stand up to them but never lower ourselves,
Yeah, that's all right.
and
And Stephen, yeah, no,
keep
I'm
pushing
listening.
our message, keep
Yes.
pushing our policies.
Yeah.
This is all about the Canadian people, and we need their feedback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We are nothing without the support of the Canadian people.
Yes.
So we encourage
For them. Yeah.
everyone out there to share your input with us, and we listen, and we incorporate what you're saying into what we're doing.
Right. Yeah.
We're just messengers of the people. We're just an extension of the people.
Yeah.
We do not work for the lobbyists. We don't work for the special interests. We're not in this for ourselves.
Yeah.
We're not controlled by the corporate globalists in this country. We're non-establishment.
Yeah. Right.
So we're very clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as long as we stay clean and focused on that, we're gonna have a really positive impact.
Yes, definitely.
As soon as you got strings on you and you're just thinking about yourself, then you're done. You're not going to help the people.
Right. Yeah.
You're just wasting everyone's time.
Yeah. Right.
So that's
Mm-hmm.
that's something we need to fight. And tomorrow I'm going to be releasing a video.
Okay.
And it's about one of our policies.
Okay.
Which is on banning radical extremism in Canada.
Yes.
And what we mean by that is when we say radical extremism, we're talking about ideologies, way of life that is inconsistent with our liberties and civil rights.
Right. Yeah.
So that's something we don't want in Canada, and we don't want to practice in Canada.
Yeah.
And there's certain groups promoting hate, and they're pushing, for example, there's groups that want Sharia here.
Yeah.
So this is unacceptable. You should not be in this country. Go to some other country that supports Sharia. Do not come here.
Right.
You are not welcome here.
Yeah. Right.
You are not welcome. Unlike the prime minister we have in this country, he'll be removed soon, by the way, everyone. Just give it, hopefully in 2019. But those people who support Sharia, for example, are not welcome in Canada. So we don't know why you come here, because we're going to fight you. We're not going to allow you to push your ideological way on us. So that's the way it is. Kulbir, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, okay. You've covered.
No, but could you talk about the Sikhs, what they went through in the 14th century?
Yeah, I can get on that as well. And you've covered a few things about, and I'd like to comment on different things.
Sure.
In the last 5 or 7 minutes, you've covered quite a few things. Just my own few comments on a few of those things.
Can you keep the microphone close to your mouth, please?
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm without a microphone. It's a built-in one. So I'll get closer anyways. We talked about far-right groups. Now, Stephen, to my understanding of far-right, first of all, it's just a term. It's just a term made in the spectrum of things. Far-right, right? And then we have far-left. And then we have those people who are infringing on freedom of other people and so on. Now, so people with that so-called far-right approach, they are, to every action there's a reaction. It's a law of the world. Law of physics and law of anything, actually, subtle things as well, psychological things as well. Now, people are hurt. There have been killings, around the world, and people are hurt, whether it's Spain or France or San Bernardino or wherever else, or not even racist killings, even otherwise, some odd, things keep happening. So people are really, really sort of, I would say, living a life of anguish, especially the ones who were connected to those people and their friends and that extended circle, and then the whole of society. The ripples go on and on and on. So if a far-right group cries out in response to what is happening, call it far-right or call it super far-right, I don't think I care about that. It's just people's rights to, cry their heart out. Not even say it's cry their heart out, especially when people are killed. Christians being killed, or for that matter, anyone being killed. So if a group cries out in response to that, I think it should be honored, first of all. They're not being radicals, first of all. They're not being invading other cultures. They're just being defensive of their own selves, of their own culture. So that concept of far right needs to be understood from ground up. And yes, you're right in saying it should be a positive energy. Yes. Yes, Stephen. It should happen. And why not? We are all humans, and far right people are just our brothers. And, I could get far right in a certain situation. And I could be middle in a certain situation. I could be left in a certain other situation, not politically, but in other situations of life.
Yes.
So if in politics somebody is far right, so what? There are reasons to it. Now those should be understood. They should be honored. We should be with them.
100%. And that's what we're doing. We're actually listening to these people. Yeah. We're treating them as people.
Yeah.
With feelings and with emotions and with ideas and we're listening to them.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a positive in what we're doing.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah. And then you touched upon the party, National Advancement Party of Canada. Now, the very name National Advancement, the first two letters NA, they convey a lot. That's for my audience as well, audience of this show and whoever is hearing this program all around the world. National advancement. So it's for the advancement of the country. Basically, it's the nation's advancement. And we are a federal party, so it's nation's advancement. And when we say national advancement, it means an awesome Canada, in other words. Anyone who's attached to the party is eventually going to be contributing to an awesome Canada, which is an awesome, by the way, but in terms of what we need to do, we got to make sure it's ever awesome.
Yeah, there's definitely growing issues in our country. The open borders, all the corruption and cronyism in Ottawa, the growing debt, all the billions of dollars that are flowing out of the country, all these campaign lies, and on and on. We're not going to dwell on the negative, audience, but it's there. We can do a lot better. We got to clean up the corruption in Ottawa, and we're losing our democracy. It's completely been turned upside down.
Right.
And right now, these self-entitled elected officials and bureaucrats in Ottawa dictate to the Canadian people. And it should be the Canadian people running this country.
Right.
And so what we want to do, Kulbir, is really strengthen the democracy in Canada by creating a lot more mechanisms which give voice to the Canadian people during election and after election.
Yes.
So we want to tilt democracy in Canada in favor of the people and away from these crony politicians and bureaucrats and whoever's pulling their strings. So we want to tilt it. And that's when we're going to have a great country.
Yes.
When it's actually government of, by, and for the people.
Yes.
And these corrupt people, this elite or whatever you want to call them, they're just using the Canadian people. So we need to fight that and restore democracy in Canada.
Yeah.
So that's a big agenda of the National Advancement Party of Canada. That's how we're going to advance our country.
Yeah.
In one sense.
Yeah.
We're going to have to restore democracy. We're going to have to get it tilted significantly in favor of the people through recall referendum, through holding these elected officials accountable, truly accountable for any lies and cheating and stealing, and giving the people say over legislation, over acts of parliament, and this isn't mob rule, everyone, because we have a constitution and we have rights in that constitution. So it's not about mob rule, but it's about giving the Canadian people the rightful voice and say over what goes on in this country.
Yes, definitely. Most needful. Yeah. And for the knowledge of the audience of this program, I'd like to share that Mr. Stephen Garvey, he's the founder of FDA, which is Foundation of Democratic Advancement. He is the founding director of that association. He's worked in that association for a number of years. He is, correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen, you are from UBC, and you've done bachelor's in political science, and then your master's in environmental development. Is that right?
Yes.
From Cambridge, UK?
Yes.
So very well read, very highly educated leader of the party, and hopefully leader of the country very soon in the coming years. Stephen, we wish you all the best, and you have so much insight into democracy and related. And with your the paradigm of the whole party, when I was campaigning, I just had 3 weeks. I was nominated. It was 3 weeks. Let's be on that for now. So in those 3 weeks, when I met the people in the riding with the party's agenda, when I related to the citizens, it was we were having a very informal discussion with people as we campaigned, telling them that we are here to take your votes. I mean, that was maybe a part of the script. But then we talked about issues. And I used to joke with everyone, as much as possible, Stephen, that we will be hanging out in Tim Hortons, Starbucks, DQ, and so on, McDonald's, as we elected, and talk with the people, listen to them, make the decisions there, and present the script in Ottawa, not the other way, that the things happen in Ottawa and they are conveyed to us. I said, we'll all get together in here and there, not sitting in an MP's office, sitting here at these places or wherever possible, making plans with everyone, and their decision is what I would, personally, because I was doing this in Midnapur, and I used to say, okay, this is me, I'm just the class monitor or class representative. That's all it is. You make the decisions. This is what you want. This is what the MP, our MP, says in the parliament. It should be ground up, not top down. So we promoted that even in the campaign days, and we continue doing that because that's the culture. Democracy is based on of the people, by the people, for the people. It's of the people, but it is not necessarily, procedurally speaking, by the people. They're not even asked. Laws are made, and hey, folks, we made a law on Ottawa, right, Stephen? And here it is, follow it from tomorrow. We were never even asked. So NAPC wants referendums to happen, online voting, or maybe Elections Canada can have their offices open for voting for the bills as well. Not just people, but wherever possible, we could have arrangements where people come once in a while and all the bills that are being in discussion in the parliament, they presented to the people, bills and motions and all this. So take their yeses and nos, their comments and tweaks and all about it, and let the people decide what they want. It may not be mandatory for every thing, every single bill and motion, but it should start happening in some way. Many people are so much versatile and they have so much knowledge, but they want to relate that with the politicians and the system, but they're not able to because there's no arrangement. And MPs and MLAs, they generally don't, they're not accessible. I used to ask my, the people in the riding, I said, when was the last time you or even I met our MLA or MP? The answer used to be 99% of the cases, never. So if that's the culture, it just means it's just a club of people who get together and make decisions for us, and the people are just out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, whether it's pull or push, whatever, people are not being taken as an active part of the system.
Okay, fair enough. So, Kulbir, we have about 8 minutes left.
Yeah.
Do you want to do some closing statements now?
Okay, it's up to you.
Okay, and because we were talking about putting Canadians first.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what does that mean to you?
Talk about federal issues. Canada First signifies that all aspects of the federal governance should be happening from a Canadian standpoint, which means look at the backyard here. Look at our country. This is our country. This is our tax dollars. And it's for us, for all of us, whether it's a homelessness issue or veterans issue or enough of veterans issue, let's say. Not that veterans are not given the budget, but it could be more. It could be much more than that. They're the ones to defend the country and so on. And then incentive to businesses. Then we could have more. The other day I was talking to seniors. They said we have pension issues. And pensions could go up. They've worked for Canada for a long time. Yes, some people have been working in organizations. They have their separate pensions. But then as a citizen of Canada, they still have been part of the country. They could have more pensions. And then more could be allocated to municipal, provincial budgets. And it all happens when we look with a Canada First standpoint. When we give $600 million to abortion development, to developing countries, I mean, we're surely cutting the part of the cake from Canadian perspective and giving to somebody else. And that's not fair. Unless we were super taken care of, which we are not.
Exactly. Because we're not against helping other people. right, Kulbir? But the federal government has a duty and responsibility, first and foremost, to the Canadian people.
Exactly. Yeah.
But this government, and you could argue past governments, are catering to foreign entities and people.
Yeah.
And who knows what strings are attached, kickbacks, pay to play, pay to access.
Yeah.
And there's very little transparency on what's going on, but all these billions are flowing out of our country.
Yeah.
These are our tax dollars.
Yes. Yes.
These people in Ottawa are supposed to serve the Canadian people. They're not supposed to serve refugees and foreign countries and foreign entities.
Yes.
Their first responsibility is serving the Canadian people. So we have a very crooked system in place. There's a lot of backroom dealings and pay to access going on. It's a very corrupt system. So this is something we need to fight, Kulbir.
Yes, certainly.
And we have to fight it with our integrity, with our honesty and our truthfulness.
Yes.
And our unwillingness ever to be bought out.
Yeah.
And ever to lose focus on our mission, which is to serve the Canadian people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Definitely. Yes.
So, in my view, I see a lot of divisive politics going on.
Mm-hmm.
In the sense, I think immigration is being used to divide us.
Right.
You know, divide and conquer, which allows you to control the people.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They don't want unity in the country. They want everyone divided in this global mosaic, in which there's all cultures and no culture.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, that's what we're fighting in this country. We stand for a Canada that is strong and united.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
A country with identity, with values, that looks after its people.
Yeah.
And when we can, help other people in need.
Yes.
Right? That's the vision we have.
Yeah.
But, you know, this globalism is just run amok. And I'll give you an example. I was in Ottawa and I went to buy bottled water, and we have one of the biggest water supply, fresh water sources in the world.
Yeah.
And all I could find was water from France.
Right. Yeah.
Right? So, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And, we're not against trade and working with other countries, but the Canadian people has to come first.
Yeah.
We can't be signing trade deals that erode our sovereignty.
Right. That's right.
That allow companies to come here and walk over our people.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
No, we don't support that.
Right. Yeah.
So again, it's about serving our people.
Yeah.
Do you want to have any concluding remarks? We have a couple of minutes.
Basically, you've summarized it all very nicely. And foreign policy and a national policy. Now, there has to be a balance between these two different entities. Foreign policy is being more important than our national policy. And when foreign policy starts dictating the national policy, I think there's something wrong. Call it left and right issue, or call it whatever we want to. But when foreign policy comes into national policy and Canadians are just part of that foreign policy, I think it's time to rise up for Canadians, for Canada. So if we say Canada first, it's not a racist slogan at all. It's just part of our survival or our success, basically, for which we're entitled as a developed nation. And if we start going down, being equated with other countries in the name of globalism, and we want it to be all average, everybody wants to be average, and the whole thing should be all the same and all the same and all the same. I think it's a big rise up call. Yes, Stephen.
Exactly, and
you can't squeeze a nation by your liberal policies. You have to respect what the country did for its own progress in the last centuries and since its inception and incorporation and formation. So. Yeah,
exactly. And, we need to continue to inform people. And I encourage the listeners to go to our website, nationaladvancement.ca. We're putting more videos up there, but there's a whole list of policies, our platforms up there. And you can learn more about the party, If you're on Facebook, go to our Facebook page at National Advancement Party. If you just typed it in, you'll come to our official Facebook page. And please contact us, share your input, which is valuable to us. And we respond to all constructive feedback from Canadians. So I want to thank everyone for listening in today, and we're going to be doing this once a week. We're going to be bringing in a different member every week from a different part of the country to share their perspective on what's going on and about the party. Do you want to add anything else, Kulbir?
No, great. And don't forget to watch Mickey Mouse. These are the things that the Caucasian people built. So be proud of yourself. You're the ones who gave so much to the whole world. Be proud of it, maintain it, and needfully respect your uniqueness. And thank you, Scott. Thank you, Stephen Garvey. And thank you, everyone, for being here.
Okay. Like I said, please go to our website, nationaladvancement.ca. Also, it's if you're a Canadian citizen, 18 years old or older, please consider joining the National Advancement Party so you can be active in our mission and in our journey to bring national advancement to Canada. Also, we rely on donations, so if you support our cause, our patriotic movement, please consider donating to us. Even $5 donation will help us go forward. Also, you can volunteer and work with our members to help pursue our agenda. And also, if you're interested in becoming a member and running in 2019, we'd be really happy to hear from you. We want to get common people in the parliament. We need people who understand the working Canadian. And those are the type of candidates that we want to put in Ottawa. People who have common sense, who are pragmatic, and who are in touch with reality of most Canadians who are struggling. Definitely consider being part of our movement. And we want to thank you for joining us tonight, and we're going to be doing this next Thursday at the same time. So please join us then, and please phone in.